I seem to be flying solo tonight, so in honor of that, I decided to do tonight's Facebook Live, live here from the horror bar down in the basement of my own house. So I am right now logging into the page to see if hopefully I am coming through okay live. We've got an interesting topic tonight. There we go. Let me just do a sound check. All right. Sound check. All right, if someone will be nice enough to comment and tell me if we've got audio, which I'm sure, hopefully we've got. Gotcha. Thanks a lot, Brian. All right, so this is, for those of you who've maybe never seen this before, this is the horror bar. When you've got a wife who collects horror movies, like I do, and you want to keep her happy, this is what the bar in your basement gets themed. We've got things from all kinds of different horror movies. We've got thousands of horror movie DVD and Blu-ray titles. We've got signed posters. We've got all kinds of murder implements, fun stuff like that. But that's not what I'm here to talk to you about today. Oh, thanks, Tiff. You like my studio. I actually put up some white lights for the occasion. Normally it's all red LED in here. But what we're talking about tonight is what to do post-bankruptcy. What do you do after your bankruptcy has been done? You're done with your Chapter 13. You've gone through your payments. Full discharges happened, or you've gone through your Chapter 7 bankruptcy and discharges happened, or if you've backed out of a Chapter 13 or you've backed out of a Chapter 7 or had them dismissed instead of discharged. These are all ways to terminate, to end the bankruptcy process. Now, there are a few different things you're going to want to consider when you are post-bankruptcy. The very first thing is, wow, now I don't owe money to anybody anymore. You basically hit the great big red reset button, and that gave you the opportunity going forward to be debt-free. So you're starting out, you've got essentially a clean slate according to your attorneys and according to the courts. Here's the thing, your slate's not necessarily clean because we go back and we look at your credit report with Equifax, with Experian, and with TransUnion, and we're going to see some things on there. We're going to see comments on the accounts that had gone into the bankruptcy itself. They'll say included in bankruptcy or discharged in bankruptcy. We'll see some of the negative marks that led up to that bankruptcy itself. We will see down in the public records section, bankruptcy, either discharged, at least filed and listed. You'll see some different dates because Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, they don't all put the exact date of the bankruptcy posting, filing, or discharge. They'll put, some will put the exact date, some will put the month. These are the things we're going to experience when we look at that. And if you're looking on your credit report for where the bankruptcy is showing up, that's in your public records section of your credit report itself. So now we know what's there. We're done with the bankruptcy. We're debt-free. It's time for us to rebuild. The first thing I will direct people to look at, hopefully after the Facebook Live here, is going to be, there are two documents in the files section of the group. Now, if I know my lefts and rights right, the file section, if you're on a PC, is up this direction. And the file section, if you are on a phone, is kind of up this way. So you'll want to go into the file section. There's a couple of documents in there. One of them is called Credit Safety Instructions. It's a great self-guided tour to a self-driven credit restoration. The other is written by Rick Wenner, one of our other FICO certified credit coaches at the Credilife program with Prosper Law Group, and that's called Credit IQ. I recommend you download them, you give them a read, pick whichever one seems to flow better for you, and think of that as your guide to this this process, this rebuild that you're going to be doing. Now, what you are looking to have on your credit as far as a rebuild after the bankruptcy will vary a little bit depending on your goals. Some people may have a goal of, I want to be able to obtain a car. Some people may have the goal of, I want to be able to obtain a house, or I want to pass a background check that I won't pass now for my job, or if I have a background check for licensing or security clearance in the military, I know I want to be able to pass that, and I won't with my credit currently in a shambles. following the bankruptcy. So one of the first things we want to address after that bankruptcy, even before looking at the nasties, the derogatory items that are on the account, I tend to recommend that we dive right into credit redevelopment and credit building. Credit redevelopment, there's one aspect in the entirety of credit that is difficult for a credit coach or even yourselves working on your own credit. There's one aspect that is impossible for us to work with, and that's time. Credit itself is, and a credit score itself, is a numerical risk rating based on history of repaying on lent money, on borrowed money. So if we want that history to be as long as possible, we have to get started as quickly as we can after the bankruptcy, okay? So one of the first things that you will want to do and will be able to do is to get yourself what's known as a secured credit card. Credit cards, they are, you're familiar with them. They're known as, though, in credit, revolving accounts. You can charge them up, you can pay them down, you can pay them off, and you can use them again. As long as you're happy with the bank and the bank is happy with you, those can revolve forever. Now, as far as credit cards after a bankruptcy, I oftentimes will recommend Capital One for a secured credit card. The reasons being, Capital One has a $200 limit. They will require either a $49, a $99, or a $200 deposit, depending upon your creditworthiness. And after a time, Capital One will review your credit. And if you've played nice in the sandbox, done what you're supposed to do, they will convert your card to an unsecured credit card. You get your deposit back credited to you. You get a larger credit amount. It becomes a forever card. So we want to open that credit card. The reason that's important: history of repayment in the FICO algorithm, the math that makes your credit score. History of repayment, payment history is 35% of your score. Okay, so that's on any type of lending. But a full 30% of your FICO score is based entirely on balance to limit ratio, otherwise known as utilization, on revolving accounts, otherwise known as credit cards. So we have to get that open. I mean, because with that credit card alone, if we utilize it right and we pay on time, we're in control of 65% of our entire FICO score. So that is our starting point. So what do we do when we get this credit card? Getting it's easy. You go on the website, see if you're pre-qualified, find out you're pre-qualified, say yes, apply, pay your deposit, get your card, then you're going to want to spend with it. So the spend that you'll want to do on this brand new secured card is going to be a responsible one. It's going to be one that will add the most points to your credit score within the FICO algorithm. Now, Chaz Earthram, one of our Credilife coaches, just recently made a video, and you'll be able to find it on our Credit TV channel on YouTube. It's CREDI TV, Credit TV on YouTube, and it's called Your Credit Machine. It is a video that will explain the perfect utilization and how to turn that credit card essentially into a credit machine, adding points to your score. But I'm going to tell you just a basic version of what you'll do here anyway. So we've got our new credit card in our hand, that Capital One card. It's got a $200 limit. Now, you've been told things your entire life on how you're supposed to best handle a credit card. You've been told it by parents and teachers and bankers and realtors and mortgage lenders and car dealers and Dave freaking Ramsey and Susie freaking Orman on TV. You've been told all different ways to handle these cards. People have told you keep them under half. Or keep your credit cards at 30%. People love them some 30%. Other people will say, charge them up and pay them off every month. Other people say, open and don't use them. I don't know if any of you have ever heard those suggestions, but those are literally the most common things that I hear as far as how to best handle your credit cards. Okay, hold on one second. I'm just opening this window up so I can get at the comments a little bit better and get some real-time stuff. Real side note, Brian Cruiswell asks what's in the cup. For professional purposes, it's Coca-Cola. It's just Coke. So, we've got this card open and we need to know what to do with it to best utilize it. We're going to want to set up what's known as a controlled spend. We want this controlled spend to be within this magic zone in the FICO algorithm. By the way, there is a magic zone. I call it a magic zone. There's nothing magic about it. It's just the region, the zone, the segment of utilization that will add the most points to your score every month. The thing is, that utilization percentage is insanely low. The perfect balance to limit ratio within the FICO algorithm to add the most points to your score every month happens to be 1% to 3%. 1% to 3%. No more and no less. No more because if you went more than 3%, well, quite frankly, you didn't listen to the most professional credit coach and by far the most attractive credit coach you're ever going to see. If you go less than 1%, it's not considered activity, and you need activity to generate points. So now we know this. We can work with this. So we've got this $200 limit credit card, this Capital One card. What we're going to do is we're going to take and put what's known as a controlled spend. A controlled spend onto the card. What I mean by that is something that charges automatically every month to the card. It's the same amount of money every month on the card, and it's within the zone of that perfect balance to limit ratio. It's in roughly the 1% to 3%. All right, so good examples: Hulu, Netflix, Spotify. If you got kids, ABC Mouse. These are recurring things. Dollar Shave Club. Always trust the bald guys where to get the best razors. Dollar Shave Club, you can sign up for the $6 one. It'll send you razors every single month automatically. Saves you a ton of money, and it will be exactly 3% balance to limit ratio. So you set that up to go automatically on the credit card. Then you're going to set your checking account up to automatically pay the credit card when it's due. So money goes on, money gets paid. Money goes on, money gets paid. What do you have to do? Nothing. Just watch Orange is the New Black or shave. And what's happening is every month the cyclical thing's going to happen without you doing anything, and it's going to utilize your credit card in the best way possible, and it's going to give you the maximum point rebuild after that bankruptcy. Okay? So think of it this way, money goes on, money gets paid. Money goes on, money gets paid. That's all you have to do. The next step, you know you better than I know you. I don't even know who's watching necessarily for sure right now, but you know yourself. I want you to either cut that credit card up or keep it at home in the underwear drawer or the fire safe or wherever you keep safe things. But do not carry it with you. Here's why. Number one, it's painfully easy to justify using it. Oh, it's easy. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to go, you know what, tell you what, I got my card. I'm just going to buy this thing. And I got a big paycheck coming next Friday, and I'm going to pay it off right away when it's due. No, you won't. Nobody ever has. You're going to have an oops. You're going to screw up. You're going to have a high balance again. You just got your butt out of a bankruptcy. This is not the way to start off on the right foot. The other reason I don't want you to carry it with you, though, is actually just a simple oops type of reason. I don't want you to accidentally put it in the gas pump instead of your debit card and oops your way out of your points. Because quite frankly, if we're going to piss our points away, at least have some fun doing it. Sticking it in a gas pump and saying, oops, that's not the way to do it. So we've got this credit card open, active, adding points to our score each and every month. Great. What do we do next? Well, I'll tell you what. You open a second credit card. Ideally, I'd like to see you have 2 bank cards. What I mean are Visa, MasterCard, Amex Discover that report to all 3 bureaus. Do they have to be secured? No, but you're going to qualify for one after your bankruptcy. So it's a safe place to start. So now we've got our 2 bank accounts, 2 bank cards, open, active, adding points to our score every month. They're set up on those automatic utilizations. What else do we want to do? The next thing I would do is open up what's called a Fingerhut Fresh Start account. Fingerhut Fresh Start account, it's very unique. You open this thing up, they're going to charge you $30 to open it and give you a $30 credit towards your first purchase from the Fingerhut catalog. Now, Fingerhut has some great things in it, and it's got some crap. It's got some very nicely priced things, and it's got some crap. They've got a $30 bucket. Don't buy the $30 bucket. Buy yourself a pair of tennis shoes, something name brand, something you need anyway, something that's price protected, okay? So you're not going to get ripped off. Now, when you buy this, you might say, well, wait a minute, Jeremy, you just said 1% to 3% is the utilization. Now you're telling me to use half my Fingerhut card. That's right, I am. Here's what's unique about that Fresh Start program, okay? When it starts reporting to your credit, to Equifax, to Experian, and to TransUnion, for the first 5 to 6 months, it's going to report as an installment loan. An installment, not a revolving loan. So those installment payments you're making towards paying off the shoes or the $30 bucket are going to count as installment payments, meaning your balance to limit ratio will not matter. Meaning you're not going to get penalized. After that time frame, it converts into a revolving account, like a credit card. Your utilization's lower, and all of a sudden, boom, boom, boom. You've got good balance to limit ratios, your score skyrockets. So we got 2 bank cards open and active, adding points to your score. We got 1 retail card, Fingerhut, open, active, adding points to your score. Now I want to round out your credit profile. To round out your credit profile, we need another type of loan, another type of financing. For that, I professionally recommend Self-Lender. Self-Lender. You can find links to it in the group, but Self-Lender is offered through Austin Bank. There are a couple states, New York and Wisconsin, that they're not available in. If you're from New York and Wisconsin, make a post in the group, and I will do my best to help find some places for you. But since 48 of the states, so 96% of you can use Self-Lender, we're going to talk about it. Self-Lender is pretty cool. Essentially, it's a forced savings account. What you're going to do is you're going to open up a Self-Lender account, and you're going to make $49, $99, or like $200 payments per month to this thing, okay? Depending on which one you want to do, depending on how much money you want to save. Is it better if I do the 99? Is it better if I do the 200? Is it better if I do the 49? Is it worse if I do the 49? Do what you can afford. That's the best answer. So you're going to open the Self-Lender account. Over the next 12 months, you're going to make equal monthly installment payments towards this account. At the end of the time, the money, minus a little bit of fees, is yours. Use it as a Christmas fund for next year. Use it to save up for something. If you're thinking about buying a house at some point, use it towards your down payment. But what's going to happen is this puppy is going to report as monthly installment payments on a $500, a $1,000, a $2,000 bank obligation, rounding out your credit profile, building your score while you tuck $500 or $1,000 or $2,000 away for a rainy day. This is a win. Now at this point we got 2 revolving. We got 1 revolving retail and we got an installment loan. Now here's the thing, the reason I say this mix for after a bankruptcy. For the majority of people I work with in credit restoration, for the majority, I'm 80% and up, people are looking to be in the position now or at some point in time in the future to purchase a home, to acquire a home. For that, you need to apply for a mortgage. Well, the traditional underwriting guidelines for Fannie Mae, for Freddie Mac, for FHA and VA, they have something called a minimum trade line or minimum account requirement. The minimum account requirement traditionally for a manual underwriting on one of these mortgages just so happens to be 2 revolving accounts open and active with a perfect payment history. 1 installment account open and active with a perfect payment history, and at least 24 months credit depth. Now that's time. We already talked about this. We can't affect time. If I learn to control time, I'll tell you in last week's Facebook Live. But in the meantime, we can't affect it. So going forward, though, the accounts that I have you using to rebuild after this bankruptcy, the simple blend, couple installment or revolving, or pardon me, couple revolving and installment, thank you, just so happen to be the minimum trade line, the minimum account requirements for your biggest goal. Okay, so that is the rebuild. These are the steps to make post-bankruptcy to rebuild. This is what to do after a bankruptcy. So that's the building. That is where we're at there. Tasha asks me, what about buying a car? As for buying a car, here's the kind of fun thing about buying a car after bankruptcy. Your rates aren't necessarily going to be that great until you reestablish some credit and raise that score. But I'll tell you what, everybody's going to give you a car loan. Oh, they are going to come out of the woodwork and they're going to have their bankruptcy, the marketing you're going to get in the mail say bankruptcy development department or bankruptcy post-discharge department or some other damn thing like that. It's all marketing. These car companies will give you a 5 or a 6 year loan after that bankruptcy because you can't do another bankruptcy for 7 years. It's a safe bet. They'll just come take the car if you don't pay. Hopefully that answers your question. Yes, already have. Okay, cool. Let's see what else we got going on. Michael Smith. That's why I got 2 of them. Score shot up 80 points in 7 months. So you get it. You know what's going on. Excellent, excellent. How do I feel about credit builder accounts? If you're talking about the... actually, I don't know what you're talking about, so get back to me with that. If you're talking about kind of the credit builder CD and things like that, I'm all for them. So do we apply for these things during bankruptcy or after? Excellent question. During a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, you're not going to get it. It's not going to happen. You're not supposed to apply for things. Don't. Just let it get discharged. Thank them and move forward with your life. Apply afterwards. In a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, which can take years, you will need permission from the trustee to open a new lending account. Some trustees will give you permission. Some trustees will not give you permission. You will then need to find a lender that's okay with you opening it. Some will be okay and some won't. I know that's not the answer you were probably hoping for or looking for, but that's the answer. So do we apply for these things? Perfect. Any other questions that we've got? So this is the development step post-bankruptcy. Now, that's building the good. We haven't begun to dive into what to do about the bad. And for the bad, quite frankly, here's what I'm going to say. So there are 3 credit bureaus: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. These are private companies. They are mercenaries. They are not missionaries, okay? They're in it for the dollar. You are not their client. They're not interested in making you happy. They give 2 craps what you think. The bank is their client. They get money from the bank to hold data. They get money from the bank to give it back to them. It's a hell of a business model, okay? These are the 3 largest repositories of unverified, unvalidated data in the world. These people keep info on like 350 million people. They get it every month from like 20 different sources. So that's 3 bureaus times 20 times 350 million. If they wanted to verify, if they wanted to validate and document even 1% of it, these guys would need 1 million employees. It's not going to happen. It's not economically feasible. It's not realistic. So what do? They don't verify any of it. Not a lick of it. Nothing on your credit report has been verified. It's, in court they call that hearsay. So none of it's been verified. It's rumor. It's just what's been posted. Now, that wouldn't be a problem if credit wasn't used for anything. But here's the deal. Credit's used for everything, and not just big things anymore. It's used for background checks for jobs, background checks for apartments, places to live. It's used for your utilities. It's used for your cell phone plan. It's used for your car insurance. You could theoretically not get a job, not get a place to live, not have insurance, not have utilities, not have wheels because your credit sucks. I've had people call me in a panic from their hotel room that they're renting because that's their situation. And it sucks. So if you think that's not fair, that you're being judged on unverified, unvalidated data, well, a lot of really powerful people agreed with you. And they made a law, a consumer protection called the FCRA, the Fair Credit Reporting Act. It allows us to do a few things. To oversimplify it, number 1, it allows us to pull your credit. We can go on, Identity IQ. We can go on Privacy Guard. We can go on any of these sites. Hell, even Credit Karma. It sucks, but you can go on it and get your credit. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you couldn't do that. It was a big mystery, a big secret. You might have a buddy who's a mortgage lender and lets you take a peek while he gets up and goes and gets a coffee to drink. But like hell, you were going home with the copy, all right? Fast forward to today. Things have changed. We get to see what's in there. We know it's knowledge. Knowledge is power. It's a cliche, but it's also true. We get to peek behind the curtain. It's not a frickin' omnipotent wizard. It's a dude with levers. Fantastic. I don't know what to do with an omnipotent wizard, but a guy with levers, I can handle an old man with levers, all right? So that's knowledge is power. We can work with that. The other thing it allows us to do, in a very oversimplified sense, is go to the bureaus. You can do it yourself, or we can do it at Credilife with our program, or any other credit professional who's licensed and bonded can do this. Go to the bureaus and say, hey guys, with all due respect, prove it. Prove it. Prove it's me. Prove it's real. Prove those are the dates. Prove it was late. Prove I was late that month. Prove it was discharged in bankruptcy. Prove, over here it says open, over there it says closed. Prove it's open and closed. Prove it, prove it, prove it. And if you can't verify, validate, and document that everything's accurate, factual, current, correct, and verifiable as of today, not back when they reported it, but today, then by law, it's permanently deleted, gone, like it never happened from your credit profile. Doesn't mean the debt's gone. If you owe someone $1, you owe someone $1. But it means their ability to report to the single largest repository of unverified, unvalidated data in the world, the credit bureaus, well, they lose that, and that's extremely powerful. So to go all Johnny Cochran on you, if they can't prove it, they have to remove it. So that leads me back to the documents. That leads me back to the file section. In there you'll find letters. investigation letters, dispute letters. I don't want you to dispute something unless it's not yours or unless you know it not to be accurate. I want you to investigate the integrity of the data. I know it's a small semantic thing to some people, but to me it's all about ethics and it's all about intent, okay? So what you want to do is you want to send a letter and say, hey guys, with all due respect, prove it. Prove it's me, prove it's real, prove it's accurate. You do not have to be a lawyer. You don't have to be a credit professional to write to them and say prove it. Now there's a reason I'm saying letters, not call them, not email them, not go online and do their online ones, their online disputes. Because here's the thing, if you dispute, for example, online, you give up a number of your consumer protections under the FCRA that we work so damn hard to be able to use in the first place, okay? So one of the protections you give up is they'll just take the item off and the next time it gets reported, they'll just put it back on. Hell of a thing. You give up the notification that you should get, you give up all those things. Don't dispute online, don't dispute by phone. Do it the way you're supposed to. Send letters. Send letters. If you want to paper trail something, use paper. So if you go again to our file section, if you're on a PC, on a computer, the file section should be up here, if I'm doing this right. And if you are on a tablet or on a cell phone, you're going to want to look up this direction. In there, again, there are the documents that I'm talking about, sample letters, and the files, credit safety instructions, and credit IQ. That'll give you step-by-step guides to a self-driven credit repair. If you do want to hire a professional, I'm not going to lie, we're better than you at this. I call them how I see them. We are better than you at this because we do this for a living. We're backed by a law firm, and we can get into a little bit more specifics. For example, did you know there are 27 different aspects you can verify, validate, and investigate? They correspond with 27 dispute codes or 27 condition codes at the bureaus. We know what they are at Credilife. We know how to write specifically, succinctly, directly, so we get the ones we're looking for that plays in your favor. We know what their weaknesses are too. But what that means is literally you could do letters. You could send rounds of letters for 3.3 years and never ask the same question twice. By the way, we'll never do that for you. That's psychotic. But you get the idea. We're not doing the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different result. So if you are interested in hiring a professional, I just threw down the scheduling link for all of the FICO certified. That means they're like me. All the coaches at Credilife are certified specifically by all regs, the licensing body for the mortgage industry, the licensing body for a lot of places. We're certified in the FICO algorithm, literally in the math, the formula that makes your credit score itself. So if we tell you something's a good idea, it's not because we heard it in the group or we think it's a good idea. It's because we legitimately know what the outcome's going to be if you do it. It's kind of like we're sitting down at a blackjack table and we know where the aces are in the deck. How do you think we're going to play? So that's up in there. Okay, we're going to go back to some of these questions here. All right. Bum, 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 bum. Whoa, all of a sudden I got a bunch of good stuff. All right. We went past the most important question, what's in the cup? Two of the credit builders. So do we apply these things during bankruptcy? Okay. How much of the about how much of will the bankruptcy affect a score of 713? Here's the thing. Here's what's neat about bankruptcy and shitty about bankruptcy simultaneously. Not as good. I'll edit that out in post. Here's what's bad about bankruptcies. And good. It's not the bankruptcy that's damaging your credit. It's the garbage that's going into it. So it's not that public record necessarily. So the bankruptcy itself isn't really going to affect that 713 as much as what led you up there. So if you had late payments going in, you fell behind, you weren't making payments during the bankruptcy and they reported 30, 60, 90 days late, then that's what's actually going to impact your score itself, not the bankruptcy. Hope that helps for Kay. Michael, let's see what we got. If the credit builder account, a lot of people don't know about them. Huge fan. Okay, Michael asks, who gives accurate credit scores? Your lender. Here's the deal. You are not going to get your FICO score, your straight FICO score, your lending FICO score, your actual FICO score from anywhere except through a lender. Even if you go on myfico.com, or we promise it's really your FICO.com, or I swear to God this time it's really, I'm not lying, your FICO.com. they're going to give you a consumer-facing scorecard. So within every version of the FICO algorithm, there's another set of filters. They're called scorecards. And you're never going to get your real lending one. And guess what? Different lenders use different scorecards. So where's it best to get your score? From a lender, from applying for credit. So what do? You don't worry about your score. You don't score watch. Instead, you worry about your profile, the nuts and bolts that make it up. Do you have a couple revolving? Do you have an installment loan? Maybe do you have a mortgage, a car loan? One type is good, 2 types is better. If you've got a good rounded profile, the score sorts itself out. All right, how do I delete collection from my account, John asks. The way you delete a collection from your account? Well, there's a couple ways. One is through that investigation process, verifying and validating the data, putting the burden of proof into their hands. The other is demanding validation directly from the collector, from the collection company. They've got 30 days to respond directly back to you with a direct request that you send them for validation. And the last way to get it deleted would be to do a pay for delete. It's amazing how a lot of these places, if you call them and ask them, don't try to write them a letter. It's not going to work. They're not going to put it in writing. The reason they're not going to put it in writing is because it violates their contract with the credit reporting company they've got. So they're not going to blow that. So don't. If you're reading some group that you never want to do it unless it's in writing, that's those are either crackheads or just people who don't know what they're talking about. But there's something called a pay for deletion. You call them up, ring, 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 ring. Hey, tell you what, if I pay you the full amount right now, will you delete it from my credit? And if they say they're going to, they're going to. They're on a recorded line. You can subpoena it in court. So that's the 3 ways. Verify, validate, and document with the bureaus. Validate with the collection company. Pay for delete. Note he says, do we get your service after the bankruptcy or during? Hey, interesting question. It depends. It depends on your goals. There's kind of a little caveat while you're in a bankruptcy, a Chapter 7 in particular. There's essentially a stay of collection where the collectors can't call you and bug you or do any collection activities anymore. If we send out letters during that time frame, some of the lenders, it's almost like a cheat code for a video game. Some of the lenders consider responding to that as validating, so they won't do it. And it's a cheap way to get rid of a couple things sometimes. So you can get it during. Talk to your attorney, talk to your conscience, talk to your goals, and talk to us. We'll figure it out for you. Can a collection be deleted and added back from the original creditor that deleted it? That's a great question, Wesley. Now, if you dispute online, yep, without notifying you. If you dispute via a letter, they can add it back on, but there's such a rigmarole of legally required disclosure that they're seldom, and I'd say never, but the second I do that, we'll see one. So they seldom will ever try to add that back on. If they do, you can typically go after them, and you can really go after them for an FCRA, a Fair Credit Reporting Act violation. You can get some money out of it if they put it back on without notifying you. Do CPAs do this kind of work? If you're talking about certified public accountants, if you know one who actually understands credit and actually understands FICO and is licensed to do this stuff, God bless you. I've yet to meet one, Susan. Let's see what else we have. When a creditor agrees on a settlement, do you need it in a letter received by mail, or is email okay too? Email. It's totally legal in courts these days. Michelle says, how do you get dispute verbiage removed from your credit reports? I love this question. Very pertinent question, Michelle. We've got Brian Kurzweil, I think, in the chat tonight. Brian Kurzweil is one of our moderators. He is a mortgage lender with Rubicon Mortgage out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And he is actually FICO certified, probably the only FICO certified mortgage officer that you'll ever meet in your life. The reason I bring him up is we work together on a lot of clients. And when it comes time to pull credit for your mortgage, you will not get approved through desktop underwriting, through electronic underwriting, if you've got dispute verbiage, the word saying, hey, customer disputes this amount or something like that. If you've got the dispute verbiage on your credit report. So how do we get it done? Michelle, for our clients, what we do is I would have you literally, as the client, I'd say, hey, Michelle, I need you to call. Here's the numbers, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, and you're going to say, I am not disputing anything right now. I want all references and verbiage removed. Meanwhile, we're going to send them over a letter also saying, hey, she's not disputing anything right now. We want all verbiage removed. Do we have to do it from two different sources? Not really, but guess what? If we do, the odds of it getting removed in time are doubled. So great question, great question. And Ebony says, is there a way you can get the late payments removed so they won't have as much of a negative impact? Yes. If we investigate specifically the late payments and say, hey, I need verification that, that Ebony was 30 days late in February. That's my favorite because then I want verification that it was 30 days in February. But, we were 30 days late in March, 30 days late in April. If not, we demand deletion of that late mark. Now, that's not a deletion. That's called a repair. Repair is essentially flipping the account. It's taking it from a negative that's costing you points, flipping it into a positive that's building you points. So it's a really cool thing. So yeah, there is a way to do it. You specifically investigate the late mark, you make them verify it, and you demand they delete the late mark. Essentially, you can get real specific and say, leave the account if it's not proven. John says, how do you remove medical bills from your account? Same way. You want to verify, validate, and put the burden of proof into the hands of the people who reported these items in the first place. Medical bills can be tricky. You want to be careful. There are some collection companies that will immediately, if you dispute them, or if you verify and validate them, they'll go right to trying to sue you. One of the Twin Cities called American Accounts and Advisors is kind of notorious for that. That being said, don't let it scare you. Don't let it stop you. But it's through the same verification validation process. Nody says, just right off, what's your schedule like this week for a consultation? I am typically booked fairly wall to wall. That's why I give everybody my link. I don't know what my calendar is 20 minutes from now. It's all automated for me because I'm so busy. Bo, my brother, what up, Cracker? Thank you. That's right. Yeah, I got called Cracker today. I banned a spammer who was private message spamming people. And so he called me a cracker. So I'm trying the nickname the Credit Cracker on for size. I don't know if that's racist or what, but I thought it was funny. I don't know if I'm supposed to be offended if I liked it. All right, so what else do we have going on? Bo said, what up, Cracker? All right, anyone else have any questions? Thanks, Tasha. Great information. I appreciate having you watching. For everyone who's watching, too, if I blew through something way too quickly, which happens, if I gave you information overload or anything like that, you didn't get it all, this will be available on the Facebook site. We're also going to add it to Credit TV. Credit TV, it is our YouTube channel. It's got videos. It's got information on it. Subscribe, and follow us. Credit TV, CREDITV on YouTube. Sorry, I got excited. Can you stop a Chapter 13 bankruptcy 1.5 years in? It can be done. Talk to your attorney. Definitely talk to your attorney. First thing I always tell everyone is don't take legal advice from the internet. Second thing I'll tell you is talk to your attorney. They know your specific situation better. But third, as far as the general question, yes, you can. Let's see what else. Susan asks, I've got a medical bill that's on my credit report for my car accident that was paid for by the insurance company. Validation would be perfect for that. So I would send a verification letter to the credit bureaus demanding if they can't verify the accuracy of it, maybe the balance or something like that, that it be deleted. I'd send validation to the collecting company or to the medical center that put it there saying, yeah, I demand validation, I want to see proof, or I demand you delete it. Let's see, what else do we have? What did you say about removing bankruptcy? It's a son of a buck. But here's the thing. If you're able to get removed the information that went into the bankruptcy, the actual public record isn't what's hurting you. And here's the thing. If you remove the bankruptcy from the public record, guess what? It's a public record. LexisNexis has it. It's a public record. InfoSoft has it. Everybody's got it. All Title has to do is a judgment search, and they'll find it just by Googling. It's going to be on PACER, the Public Access Court record system. And guess what? There's no freeze, there's no hold, there's no privacy block, there's nothing you can do about that. So don't count on getting rid of the bankruptcy to help you get into a mortgage, because it's better to say mea culpa and work within the system there. You can get it off for the purposes of, if they don't verify and validate, you can have it removed per the law for the purposes of getting a credit card, a student loan, things like that. But if they really start to dig, they're going to find it. Let's see, what else do we have? Natalie, you want to focus on all three? Thanks, Danielle. Rika, thanks for your info. It's my first time here. Welcome. We want, invite your friends, invite anybody to the group that finds this valuable. If you've come in late on this thing, it's going to be on Credit TV on YouTube. Follow our channel, Credit TV. It's under development right now. We've got a few videos on it. We're getting more and more and more every single week. Susan says thank you. Thank you, Susan, for being here. Virginia says, how long typically does it take after we sign up that we see results and an estimated time frame for a fully clean credit report with a great score? Boom, that's a complete question. All right. You can see results right the heck away. You can. Here's the thing. If you sign up with us, like she's asking, you're going to have your credit blueprint. You're going to have the development steps. You're going to see results from that. We're also going to send out investigations right away. You should see results in your first round within the first month. Now, how long it's going to take? It's a question I can't answer. It's so specific from person to person. I have to do literally a full credit audit on each person's account to tell them how long it's going to take to estimate that. It's because credit's so different from person to person. It's like a fingerprint. You and your spouse could be married for 30 years. You're going to have different credit reports. It's just how it works. I wish I had a happier answer, but at least I'll give you the true answer. Melissa asks, about the Equifax breach. Last time I disputed any info was in July. Some stuff came back verified. Is there anything I can do about how they were verified if they were hacked? No. The hack was a release of personal information. The verification, it's totally different department, quite frankly. It's a good question, but no. How soon after a bankruptcy would you be eligible to purchase a car? As quick as they can sign you. Literally, they will sign you the next frickin' day, but I do recommend that people try to reestablish a little bit first. Not so much because, heck yes, I'll be approved. I mean, you're going to get approved all over the place because you literally can't do another bankruptcy for 7 years. You're a safe bet to give a 4-year loan to, you know what I mean? But if you want a good rate, you should reestablish. And the difference in, it's on, what was it? A $20,000 car, a 2% difference in rate is $4,000, I believe, in savings on a 4-year loan. So it's big savings. Oh, wow. Got a lot of good stuff going on here. Let me scroll down. All right. Brad asks, hey, Brad, what if we've had another company sending out letters for the last 6 months and we want to hire you? Typically, I can tell what they've done by looking at your credit, and we know where to pick up and run from. There are companies like Credit Shield 360 that their letters, we've had some people who used them display them in the group, and it says things like, I dispute this is mine, cease and desist collecting, and that's all the letter says. It's sick. Following up something like that's pretty easy because they literally said nothing. We can know a little bit better when we do the credit audit, kind of what to expect and where to jump in, but yeah, we're able to pick up where someone either dropped the ball, left off, or just didn't pull didn't pull their weight hard enough. Marissa says, should I provide a credit bureau a copy of my bankruptcy if it isn't already on there? Currently, I've got collections that were included in the BK. Oh, that's a great question. That's a good strategy question. No. What I would do is I would validate. I wouldn't go to the bureau necessarily. I'd go to the credit, maybe the creditor that's reporting this, and I'd say something to the tune of, document that this is actually still open, it wasn't included in a bankruptcy, or we demand per the Fair Credit Reporting Act by the Consumer Rights that you delete it permanently. If you fail to do so, I'm going to yell and scream. We're going to tell everybody. We're going to tell the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB, might sue you. We're going to look into all our legal options. Thanks, bye-bye. Send that off to them. That's a really good jumping off point. How does consolidating your student loans affect your credit? Well, I'll tell you, a lot of different ways. If you're consolidating them out of a bad situation, it's going to obviously improve it. If you're consolidating all together, it could drop your score a little bit for average age of account, but if you're saving big money, it's a no-brainer. Do it. You can buy a lot of credit repair for $30,000 in interest savings. It's kind of a tricky thing, but if you have the ability to consolidate and save money, I'm going to say that trumps everything. What else we got? First timer also, what's your fee and how do I sign up? If one of my moderators would be awesome enough to either Nicole Poo McGee would either tag Nicole Poo McGee in, that reminds me of my nickname for my wife, but I can't say it on here, and she also gets mad at me when I call her that. But it's got McGee in it. So how do you sign up? Nicole, we're going to have one of the moderators tag you in a post that's got a breakdown of our services and our pricing and a link to sign up. Also, I always encourage you, look through the site. Wednesday is spam day. It's the one day a week we allow people to advertise. We have other credit professionals here from other companies. We allow everyone to advertise on the site. Go through, and if you decide someone else you like them more, maybe they gel more with you, go with them. I want you to go with your gut. I want you to go with your conscience. This isn't an infomercial. This isn't a sales pitch. I started free credit repair advice for the reason that I legitimately wanted everybody to have access to this stuff, regardless of their financial situation. Maybe you can't afford to hire us. Great. Well, I can at least give you the info to self-drive this thing yourself. I've got an outlook on what I do for a living. I always say the same thing over and over again to everybody. Every time I do my job right, a kid gets a backyard. That's my driving force. That's like my mission statement. Credilife's got its mission statement. That's mine. But if you do want to sign up with us, my link, my fees and stuff like that will all be out there for you. Susan Washburn says, Equifax has offered to have people sign up for them to check and see if someone used your identity on the dark net. What's that mean and should we do it? I'm going to put it to you like this. I don't want to badmouth Equifax because they're huge and they could roll over me with a steamroller. Yeah, I may be a bulldog, but you can put a bulldog to sleep. So what I'd say is, do you trust them? These are the same people who lost your info the first time. Let's see if they can do it again. That's my opinion. I would rather use almost anyone. I'm a big fan. If you're worried about your stuff being gone, I would use something that's called Credit Shield. I've got a link for it in the site, a vetted link, so that you're getting to the safe sign-up version. It's like $10 a month, and it's got like a $5 million guarantee, and they got private investigators. If your stuff really gets stolen, they'll go after it and figure it out. It's a nice supplement to something like Identity IQ. So you use Identity IQ or Privacy Guard or Pro Credit to monitor your credit, and Credit Shield for $10 is your protection package. You put that together, it's a hell of a combo. It's a financial planning tool, so you can usually write it off your taxes. Your mileage may vary, talk to your tax advisor. But I would do that. I don't trust Equifax right now as far as I can throw them. And again, they're really big, I can't throw them very far. Is it good to pay collections off and then have your credit repaired? Actually, Dwight asks, is it good to pay collections off and then have your credit repaired? Well, here's the thing. If you paid on an old collection that's reporting negatively to your credit report, your score will drop. And here's why. If you pay on an old collection, you're going to add a new DOLA, date of last activity. You're going to give a new activity to an already negative account. Bringing that date of last activity current, dropping your score. So the thank you that you get for paying them, well, it's something you would, it doesn't have a whole lot of thank in it. So the question becomes, well, what do I do? You know, a bit like this, I'm never going to tell you not to pay your bills. That's terrible, terrible advice. But what I'm going to say is this. From purely a credit standpoint, while paying on those collections is a step in the process, it's just not necessarily the first step. My recommendation would be typically to verify, to validate, to investigate. See if they're verifiable. If not, they get deleted. Then pay them, don't pay them, settle them, don't settle them. You know, follow your conscience, follow your goals. That's on you. Hope that answers that question. Tanya says, when your credit card debt has been sold to someone else, should I try and make arrangement at a lower cost to pay them or not? Oh yeah, whenever someone will let you settle them. Same impact on your score. So always settle for less. I don't think they put the word but on your credit report. Yep, hold on a second. My video has been interrupted, and there we go. Resuming. All right, next question is Letitia. What do you do if you have hospital bills and they're still with the hospital, they never sold the debt? Work it out with the hospital. The hospital, depending on your individual situation, I'm not going to ask you to share it here. Depending on your situation, they may have some forgiveness programs or assistance programs available, or else they may work out a payment program that will keep it from ever going into collections. That would be my recommendation. Here's the thing with collectors. There's a reason they call you and bug you. They want to communicate with you. So communicate with them. Trust me, they don't get a lot of incoming phone calls. You'll get noticed. I've got a friend who's got several repos over the years. Some have been sold off. Some are listed with where the car was bought. You still validate first. Yep. You always want to validate. All right. What else do we have? Ebony, if you have had a Capital One and filed bankruptcy, will they allow you to reapply? Great question. There's a pre-qualification tool that doesn't actually pull your full credit. It does a marketing inquiry, kind of like when you get one of those, you're pre-approved to apply things in the mail. Use it. If they say, we haven't found a card that matches your needs, or if they say, no way, Jose, don't do it. If that's the case, you're not going to start off with Cap One. You're going to start off with a card called First Progress. First Progress. You're actually going to use their Platinum Select. If you look on the credit, we've got a credit card selector tool that hopefully one of my mods could put up, or else I do have it in the group. Credit card selector tool that we've vetted all the links so you know you're getting who you're looking for. And that credit card selector tool, it's going to be the credit. It's a black and silver credit card. It's First Progress. You'll want to use that one. What's nice is if you have a pulse and you can fog a mirror because you're breathing, they approve you. All right, I think we're getting kind of close to a wrap up. If there's no more questions, does anyone have any questions about the horror bar or anything like that? I thought it'd be fun to do this from the horror bar. It's Halloween month, and it's kind of Halloween themed to have, you know, torture implements in your basement. That's probably not terribly healthy. But let's see. So I think we're getting up to the end of it. It looks like that is the end of the questions. So we're going to leave this up on the site. We're also going to have it on Credit TV. If you have not yet subscribed, go to YouTube and look up Credit TV, CREDI-TV, for this and a bunch of other videos on a variety of different topics. Once again, I am Jeremy Deysach, group founder for the Free Credit Repair Advice Group, administrator, and FICO certified credit coach with Prosper Law Group's Credilife Credit Improvement Program. I thank you so much for tuning in. You guys, thank you guys for listening. You're going to get to see me walk towards the camera, which is exciting because I got to turn it off because I'm all by myself. All right, y'all have a great night. Oh, wait, am I dressing up next time in Halloween costumes? Not a bad idea. Actually, next week, we are going to be broadcasting live from First Avenue in Minneapolis, Minnesota, at the Violent Femmes concert. One of my favorite bands from Milwaukee. I got a long history with them. If you're familiar with the movie Purple Rain, that's where Purple Rain was shot. That was where Prince got his start. We'll probably do something outside in front of the Prince star. So it's going to be short. We're basically going to do it till the bouncers stop us because we don't have permission. But I don't ask a lot of permission. So, costumes not sure, but you're going to see us on our way to a Violent Femmes concert. All right, guys. Thanks a lot from Credilife, from Credit TV, from Free Credit Repair Advice Group. I'm out, guys. Thanks.